Hi again, hockey fans. Welcome into episode number 6 of Nothing But Hockey. Ben Holden, and from the sun-drenched shores of Florida, Paul Cappy and I. Cappy, good to see you, bud.
Yeah, back down here. Why not? Survive a hurricane or leave a hurricane, come back, and for being in Sarasota, I haven't been down in the beach area yet, and I heard that's obviously the worst that got the brunt, but they've done a really good job, and we're pretty lucky here to have relatively minimal damage. I don't want to underscore it because there's some severe stuff closer to the beach, but yeah, back down here and fortunate that our place is all good, and hopefully most people's are too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, two things. First, a serious note. My girlfriend's brother lives in Lakewood Ranch, which isn't far from where you're at.
10 minutes north. Yep.
Yep. And the night that the storm came ashore, we were texting with her brother Steven, and he said, "I'm pretty sure the eye's over us because it was quiet, it was sunny." I mean, well, I've never been,
very weird.
Yeah, I've never been through a hurricane. My parents lived down there for 30 years, and in that part of it, I'm glad they're not there anymore. But yeah, it's thinking of all those people out there that had to deal with a lot of damage. And second of all, I am your set designer because I urged Cappy. I said, "You got to go by the pool, man. I would do it."
I mean, it's a beautiful day, high 70s and sunny, a little windy. So if my iPad goes flying off, technical difficulties, but beautiful day here. I mean, sadly, or whatever you want to call it, usually, the calm before the storm and the calm after the storm. It's been a beautiful week here, post hurricane. So just trying to enjoy it while I can until hockey ramps up for us again.
Yeah, and then the snow, and then you're back here in the Midwest, and the snow's falling.
I know it's going to be a long day. That's the 29th of October when I fly back.
Well, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, come back right before Halloween, and then got some games at Notre Dame with Wisconsin on that weekend. So
nice.
You'll get right back into like work mode, and and I can work from here. I'm watching everything here. I got the iPad, I got the phone, I got the TV. So you can kind of follow everything. It's pretty fun time here now that hockey's full stride.
The beauty of technology, and
that's right.
One of some things that came from COVID were good, and certainly that's something that came from COVID. The ability to work remotely was defined like it's never been defined in our lifetime. A couple of decent teams down in your neck of the woods, Tampa and Florida. We're going to get to that. We got a lot to do on the show. NHL, we're going to start there. We got some college discussion. Let's get your thoughts. Let's start right there. Let's go with college. You did the game last week. You had the call of Michigan State and BC. The game number one, the game that BC won. What'd you take away from that game? And what'd you take away from the series in general for Michigan State?
Yeah, from that game, I thought, I know we said it on the air, I thought Michigan State would come out and be the team early on to take it to Boston College, because they had played the weekend before. BC didn't have it. Was literally their first games on the road, hostile environment.
Mm-hmm.
And really, BC really took it to them. They looked like a team that was ready to go. They're just so skilled, so fast, so smart.
Yep.
Man, Ryan Leonard is a force. He didn't score. I think he had an assist, but he was just dangerous at all times. There's no way you can take your eye off him. And I thought BC was, they were the better team throughout. The second period is where they really dominated play and scored their goals. But then for Michigan State, after a rocky Friday, they came back at home, were down in that game, were able to come back and get the win in late in the game. I think it was second period. All the scoring was done by the second period.
Yeah.
But Stramel had a good game. He had a couple of soft plays that I didn't love in Friday night's game. He's a big guy, and he could be a force out there. But he scored 2 goals on Saturday, so really amped up his game. And for the Spartans to get the split is huge. I mean, a top 5 matchup, you're going to usually expect that. But I think BC, once they won Friday that way they did, they were going for the sweep, and good answer from Michigan State Saturday night.
Yeah, 3-0 in game one. State came back in a game a lot more high scoring than I thought it would be. But with the talent BC has and the talent Michigan State has, a 4-3 win in game 2 for Adam Nightingale's crew. So I think that's kind of what most of us thought. You figured it'd be a split, just didn't know, like you said, BC hadn't played a game. State had played a couple games at Lake State. State's going to be fine, man. I mean, this program, to me,
the goaltending, the defense is pretty solid.
Yep.
You know, the one thing, sorry to interrupt you, but the one thing is, you know, fill in those shoes for the number 2 overall pick, Artem Levshunov.
Yep.
I don't think they don't have a guy like that. There just aren't guys like that anyway.
No.
That you replace. But I think they have the depth there. And some of the young guys, really, you can see Sturback and Geary from freshman to sophomore year. I think if they continue to develop, they're just going to be good players. You're just not going to have a 35, 40-point guy, first team all Big Ten, most likely. But that's okay. You win different ways. And again, Coach Nightingale, he's a smart guy. He'll figure out which way to do it. But they're a deep team, 4 lines that can score. And quite frankly, their 4th line can be their first line on some nights. So that's going to help them in the long run of a season and in a playoff series.
Yeah, I love that 4th line. I love Tiernan Shouty. Big fan of him. Not a big guy, man, but he's a pain in the neck to play against. He hits everything that moves out there, and that's a good group they got. State's got exhibition game this weekend against Windsor, and then they get back to it against Canisius. Then they take on your Buckeyes, who we'll get to a little bit later in the show. Just kind of wanted to set that up. I haven't been in the rink yet. I'm waiting on a schedule like the rest of us. So hopefully that comes soon. And the Big Ten.
The good news and bad news on that, right?
Yes.
Bad news is we don't have anything till December.
Right.
But the good news is there's 27 more, including 28 total, but 27 games on the air, which is more, I believe, than that we've had before. And that doesn't include the playoffs with the semifinal and the final, and almost that quarterfinal that gets slipped in there. So yes, we got to wait patiently. But a lot of more games on the air come December through the end of February leading to the playoffs. So that part, you take the patience out of it. It's good for us and good for the league.
Yeah, the old TV adage, hurry up and wait. But we're all right waiting because we just all want to get back in the rink. So looking forward to getting back in there in early December. Just not sure on where yet. So we'll get all that as we move along. Little update, because I've had quite a few people that text me, that email me, that what's going on? Where's the schedule? I said, I don't have it yet. They haven't finalized it in terms of who's doing what games.
Right.
So that's not our control. That's those that make the decisions there in Chicago, and we'll get it soon enough. So we'll get back to a little college hockey. Let's get into a little NHL. And you and I had our little meeting last night, about 9:00 my time.
That's what we do.
Yeah,
we're on the same wavelength now, Florida.
That's
Michigan.
Right. We've done a half dozen of these, man. We're plugging along. We're getting to know each other a little bit more and understanding each other, and that's great. So one of the things that we talked about, I'm looking at your text from last night. This is where we're going to go next. Panic or no panic, and we're starting in the NHL. And I'm going to go in the order of the teams you listed. Colorado. Okay. Panic or no panic? We'll both have our opinions on this. I'll let you have the floor first.
For me, it's a definite panic.
Yeah.
It's just a flawed roster, and some of it is not in their control, right? You have Gabe Landeskog, who has this, knee injury. He didn't retire. There's just a lot hanging there. Big contract. Val Nichushkin is probably gone.
He's in Russia.
But I mean, I don't know if he's going to be ever invited back.
Right.
And you have that contract. Take 2 of your top 5 players out of anybody's lineups, right?
Yeah.
And then there's so much money into Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Rantanen. You can't blame them for that. These guys are elite players.
Right.
But you need some sort of depth. When you win Stanley Cups, guys get paid. You lose guys, you lose depth. That's the trajectory. That's what makes it so hard in the NHL, which a whole other thing. It'll be a gripe of mine at some point, salary cap and where we are in the NHL with that. But last night during the broadcast, they have 4 players in their roster. 20% of their roster has played 5 or fewer games in the NHL. So, and that's what, maybe they had a guy, Steenbergen, who fought Zadorov last night.
Yep.
Good for him. It kind of swayed the game for a while there that he dropped the gloves, gave them some energy, but he's making his NHL debut. and you got three other guys. Sam Malinsky's played a few games. He's a nice player out of Cornell, but this is what happens. And then with the Stanley Cup, and then these two guys out that are supposed to be there that are star players. Mm-hmm. I just think and then your goaltending is, yeah. I mean, they haven't had a lead. They haven't had a lead after a period yet in the 4 games. Yes, it's really early, but I just think the roster's flawed. Will they make a playoffs? I think they maybe could sneak in, but I just don't see them being able to make a run with that roster in a playoff format. Mikhail Makar is going to have to play 35 minutes a game. He's human. At some point, he's going to run out of gas. And Nathan McKinnon, he's not old, but he's about 30 years old now. He can't play 35 minutes. A forward can't do that in a playoff series. And you lose a guy like Andrew Cogliano and Jack Johnson. Yeah. Those guys know how to play the game and win hockey games and 1-goal games. And yes, they weren't high-scoring, important guys, but they knew how to win games late. Cogliano would kill you a penalty, or he'd be a guy out there up a goal and be on the 6-on-5 against because he's that good defensively. And you lose those guys, I just think it's going to be really tough hill to climb for them.
Yeah, I still say Andrew Cogliano is one of the best pure skaters I've ever seen in my life. I remember doing
smart player, selfless, doesn't care about his points, will play his role. Those are the guys you need.
Yeah, I'll never forget watching him. First game I ever did is at Michigan when he was a freshman. I was like, wow. So
different in school, different in college player he was.
Yeah, for sure. So Colorado a little bit more, and I'm with you. Yep. I think it's panic with Colorado. I mean, you look at their roster. I mean, you mentioned the guys with 5 or less games, and you got, everybody's boy Ivan Ivans on the team. I mean, there's guys on their roster that even I haven't really heard of. Parker Kelly, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, but you said it. It's part of the product of them. They're cap heavy, so they don't have room. They're missing a couple key guys. I mean, Nichushkin's back in Russia. I've seen him he's been over watching Dynamo Moscow play. So he's been in attendance at some of their games. So he's back in Russia right now. But Colorado has allowed 25 goals this season. They've led for less than 10 minutes in 4 games. And as you said, they haven't led in any period, and they've allowed an empty net goal in every game. I mean, I said to you last night on the betting lines, I'm like, I'm not touching that team. Like if you're a casual gambler and you like to bet a little bit, I'm not touching that team personally, man. I just think they got too many holes, they got too many issues, and so
they don't have a goalie to bail them out.
They don't.
Like a team like Tampa Bay, who's lost players, but you got Vasi. So, it's just unfortunate too. I mean, it's not all in their control.
No. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Second team. Yep.
And that's Edmonton. And the Oilers looked like they were going to get Michkov the other night. He had 2 goals first in his career, and then they kind of woke up. But it was their depth guys. In the end, McDavid finally showed up, had a couple of assists. They get a couple late goals and win that game. Panic or no panic with Edmonton?
That's a no panic. Okay. Even though all 4 games have been at home, and they haven't lost to some of the better teams. I mean, Chicago's on their way up a little bit, but they got beat 5-2 at home to them on a Saturday night.
Yep.
But this happened last year, and I just think there's a hangover, a difficult hangover to deal with.
Yep.
When you lose, even not, Florida's off to a pretty good start on their side. I think.
They are.
But I just think it's hard for them to see these games feel as important in your mind and body when you go out there, especially McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Hyman. These guys play so many minutes, and to ramp it back up. And also now they're a target, right? They're a Stanley Cup final. Everyone's picking them to win it this year. So everyone's coming in their building with their best foot forward. I just think they are going to figure it out again. They figured out that game, right? You're down to Philly, and they found a way to get back in it. And now I think also they're going to go on the road, and I think they're going to be a little better on the road away from home, kind of relax a little bit. It'll feel a little more, everyone's against them on the road. The fans will be against. I think McDavid and Draisaitl will find their stride a little more. So no panic for me on Edmonton Oilers.
All right. And the next team that's on the list that you sent that we discussed, they're playing Nashville. They play them. They're actually playing them Thursday night. Then they play against Dallas, which will be a real test. Dallas is, man, there. Most people saying Dallas through
Love
a
Dallas.
week and a half of the season. They just signed Jake Ottinger, 8-year deal, like every other goalie seems.
No brainer.
Yeah,
no brainer.
So Edmonton, I'm with you. I'm still, it's hard to say this because they got to the final last year, and I think it is a question mark amongst those that are even way more plugged in with these teams than you and I are.
Right.
Can Skinner win him a cup? And at the end of the day, they're one goal from winning the cup. So I got to throw that one out the window. I think this team will be fine. I think they had a little bit of a hangover. They just got to get a little jam going. I think you're right. I think the road trip will help them. And these will be two big games. Nashville, that one, they're on your list. Panic or no panic. They did a lot in the offseason, and they haven't won a game in 3 tries.
Yeah, I am going to say no panic.
Okay.
And look, you put a lot of new guys together. It can take a little time. I don't care what it looks like. On paper, you got to go do it on the ice.
Right.
And guys got to get used to each other. 3 games in a preseason doesn't guarantee, this is my line mate for the season, or I'm going to have chemistry with this guy. So they're still figuring that out. Why I say no panic more than anything is because they have a goalie.
Oh, they ever?
Now, his numbers were not great last year, but I think they have a better team in front of him now this year, which is ironic because they're starting to sway away from that old style of, win the 3-2 game. They're playing a little more up-tempo. They obviously signed these offensive guys with Stamkos, Marchessault, and whatnot. So I'm going to say 3 games, new team. Yes, 0-3. You got to get points. You got to find – that's where you make your way in the NHL. You don't go 3 games without getting 8 points. Obviously, it looks way worse at the start of the season for Tem and Colorado, but they played 3. Their rosters, it's not that flawed. Where you look at Colorado's and you see a lot of holes. So I say no panic with Nashville, but they got to get it going a little earlier than you would say in Edmonton, just because Edmonton knows what they got to do. They did it last year. Yeah. This is a lot of new faces in Nashville. A lot of key new faces in Nashville. That's the big difference. Teams always add 5-6 guys a year, but they added the prime time spots, and they got to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm looking at their roster right now, just going down in no particular order. You mentioned Jonathan Marchessault, proven guy, winner, cup champ. Obviously, Steven Stamkos, he'd be the big one. And then they bring in Brady Shea on the back end. So it was interesting watching them play the Red Wings. I think it was last week. And the Wings iced the puck like 5 times in about a minute and a half span.
That's the Wings' only win, right?
That's correct.
I'm winking under here.
No, I know. It's fine. It's early. I don't like the way they played against the Rangers the other night. They get the Rangers again this week. But in that game against Nashville, the Predators used all those icings. They kept the faceoff, kept being in the right circle. It was Stamkos. It was Marchessault. It was O'Reilly. It was Shea. And they just kept moving. Like every faceoff, somebody was here, and then he was here on the next one. And they just kept moving around, to your point, about working on that chemistry. And I don't think there's any panic with them. They got a goaltender. They've got a bunch of guys that have won. So I think we're in agreement on those 3. Now the next area, fake or should you be excited? And we'll start with Calgary. The Flames are burning. They're off to a 4-0 start. Real, fake, get excited. Where are you?
I'm saying fake.
Really?
I just they have a lot of question marks. Is Jonathan Huberdeau going to bounce back? I mean, come on. The guy had 40 points, and I hope he does for their sake. They made a big trade there. They've split the goaltending with Wolf and is it Vladar? They're both 2-0. Vladar, excuse me. I should know that. But honestly, the first game of the season, they're down 3-rip to Vancouver.
Vladar, my apologies.
Vladar, you're right. I've heard it 100 times. I just, it's that West Coast.
Yeah.
A
good check.
Yeah. Big guy, right?
6'5", 209. Yep.
Big dude. And Justin Wolf is a guy that was a low draft pick, but has come up through, had great statistics in the AHL, and he's getting his shot now. I don't know if they have a 1-1. It's 1A, 1B, but
Yeah.
They get down 3-0 in the first period. The roster doesn't look great early when you look at it. And then I'm like, oh boy, Vancouver's going to blow their doors off. I turned the game off.
Oh, that was a crazy
the next day I turned that on and they won 6-5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
And they were down
right,
3-rip, weren't they?
3-rip in the first half a period. That's why I said
I
moved on from it. And you know what? Good for them. Props to them. NHL season's a long season. Just like how I say for Edmonton, don't panic. Right now, I don't see that roster being deep enough on defense. And these goalies are having their first crack at big times in the NHL. For me, it's a sell, if you want to call it that. In 20 games, prove me wrong. I just don't see it continuing for Calgary at that kind of clip.
Yeah, I'm
not
right
a playoff team.
I'm right there with you. I think, I don't think they have enough scoring. Although
we're agreeing too much.
I love Blake Coleman. He's a good friend of mine.
Great depth guy.
Yeah,
he's a third line guy and a really good team. If he's in the top 6, he can be. But I don't know.
Big year last year.
Yeah, well, right, because he got put in that situation, but he had a big year on a team that was not good.
30 goals last year he had. Yeah, but
he's capable of that. But I think he's a third line guy on Stanley Cup team, so it's proven where his spot is on that way. Good for him. I'm glad he scored. Maybe he scores 30 again, and he proved me wrong. But right now, I just don't see that from my end.
Yeah, I don't think
you can disagree.
Well, I'd like to, because we've agreed on all 4 of these so far, man. But I'm having a hard time saying
maybe too easy on these picks.
I think for me with Calgary, the jury's still out. I just don't think I need a bigger sample size for them to kind of prove it to me. So I like some of the guys they have, but I just don't know if they have enough. So let's go on to the next team, the Utah Hockey Club. Man, what a start they had. Of course, talked about that last week on the pod. And then, they go on the road to New York and crazy game with the Rangers. They get beat by the Devils. They beat the Islanders. They lost on Wednesday night to Anaheim in overtime. Where are you at with this team? Are they fake, or should you be excited about the Utah Hockey Club?
You say those words. I say, should you be excited about them? Yes.
Yeah.
Are they a playoff team? No.
Sustainability, no.
Right. So, we went over this hardcore last week with Utah. You should be excited about them because of where they are. Their roster is pretty good.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking at it.
But you should be excited about the ownership and where they are heading, all that stuff. Are they fake in terms of where they are in the standings? Now, I say yes. I don't believe they're a playoff team this year, but they are trending in the right way in terms of young players. They mix in a guy like Mikhail Sergachev.
Yeah, it's a great pickup.
Ingram and net is pretty solid.
Yeah, he's good.
There's so many teams that have you say, I just don't know when it comes to goaltending. It's amazing. At least half the league. He's like, I don't know. Maybe. It's incredible. But I like their roster. They're young guys, Gunther, Cooley. Keller's still young. He's a veteran guy, but he's maybe 25 or 26.
He's a 98.
So he's 26 years old. Captain. That means he's got 8 years of prime left.
Yeah.
So I like their roster. I just say fake in terms of they're not a playoff team right now. But just everything, all the arrows are pointing up for the future for them.
I'm going to say get excited because, and I know what you said about getting excited, but look at what Seattle did. Look at what Vegas did. These new franchises, and this to me is a team they've been together.
It's not really a new franchise. This is
exactly
just moved.
Yeah.
Right. No, they have some good players.
They have good players, and I think the thing that for me is they've got some chemistry. Guys that have played together for 1, 2, 3 years, and I do like the Sergachev pickup if he continues to do what he does and he's done in his career. I love Dursey. I think he's a great young defenseman, man. He just makes stuff happen out there. And, I got to give a shout out to Michigan's own, even though he went to Notre Dame, Ian Cole. He's
good depth veteran guy.
Physical, gets under your skin, that kind of guy, Bortuzzo. So I'm going to disagree on this one. with you on that one.
Okay.
That's the first time that we've disagreed in 5. Lastly, your Minnesota Wild. Fake, you're getting excited.
I think it's get excited.
Really?
And I think it is these not the sole reason, but the big reason is in the net. I think Philip Gustafson, aside from the beautiful goal he scored the other night, looks like
nice.
looks like a number 1 goalie, I believe.
Yeah.
And now you have Marc-Andre Fleury to play 25 games in the back end of that.
Yeah.
And if some slippage happens late in the year, or if there's a streak, Fleury can rip off 3-4 games in a row and play lights out at age 39 or 40 now. I think he might hit 40. But I like them. I like their roster. It's
40 in November.
40 November. So he's
28
days away from it, a month away from it. So
yep, 6 weeks.
I like I think Brock Favors. I don't even think he needs to take a step. Just play the same way as he did.
Stud.
Boldy's having a good start, which he didn't have a great start last year. The team's off to a good start, which they didn't last year. So I think they are based the biggest difference because their roster. You looked at it last year and that's a playoff roster. I thought, except for a little question mark in net, and I think Gustafson is going to be the guy, and he's going to not be one of the 15 or 16, 18 teams where you're like, I don't know. I think he's a guy. And he's slowly come along, and now he's looked at as the number 1 guy there, and he's got a great mentor with Fleury. So I am buying Minnesota Wild to a good start of 2-0-2. They're getting points in every game, which is huge.
Well, certainly their goaltender scored the other night. Of course, the joke flying around was at that point that he had more goals than Connor McDavid, which he still does.
And Austin Matthews.
And at the time, Austin Matthews, but Matthews scored for the first time, had 2 assists on Wednesday in the Leafs' big win. But yeah, I think for me, this is kind of one of those jury's still out. I would if I have to pick one of these 2, I would say fake, because over the last decade, I've gotten to know a lot of Minnesota people on social media, become friends with a lot. And the one thing that Minnesota teams do is break your heart. I'm not
saying they're going to win this. I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
I know you're not, but I just I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't know why.
That's how you could ask them about any of their sports.
They're all they just stabbed constantly. All their teams, man, all of them.
Yeah, you got a big one. You're hoping they do that to you this weekend against the Lions, right? The Vikings.
That's to me.
That's a big game.
We digress slightly. Kansas City, San Francisco. Many would say biggest game of the weekend, but I think it's Detroit, Minnesota.
I mean, there's 3 or 4 really good ones. You got Packers and Texans too. We're going football real quick. I love it for myself. The Bears are on a bye after a 3-game win streak, so I could just kick back, relax, go red zone channel, take it all in.
Love it.
But yeah, but with Minnesota, hey, I'm not blaming you for disagreeing with me there. I just think the difference is in net this year, and they're off to the good start. There's good vibes. It's so early. Teams haven't played 3. I mean, Tampa's played 2 games or 3 games.
Yeah.
So there's just not a lot of info out there, but this is why we do this stuff. This is fun to do. We're making opinions based on 4 or 5 games. I just like what I've seen to start with them, and we're not all in agreement on everything.
No, we are not, but that's part of what makes it fun. We agreed on far more than we disagreed on, but
we tend to do that.
Yeah, it'll happen, but still fun to dive into that. And I want to shift gears to Johnny Gaudreau and what happened there on Tuesday night. Amazing, emotional, so well done by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Everything about it was just the way you'd want it to be. I felt if that was my family watching that, that's how I'd want it to be. They did a first-class job. Thumbs up to the entire organization. And how about the courage that Johnny's widow now has? She gets out there and said, I don't want anyone to be sad. I want everyone to remember Johnny for who he was and how he loved his family and he loved his life. I'm not quoting her, but that's basically the message. And we gotta give a shout out to that. I know you've got some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Columbus has done with this has been really good. That's just good management, good people. Like this isn't. I mean, yeah, hockey matters, but this isn't about hockey. That part. It's about just being a good human being and doing the right thing. And I think they've just done from top to bottom, and the league is done from top to bottom. Obviously, we were kind of hoping maybe that there'd be something on maybe every player or every team's ice or the boards or something this season.
Yeah.
But that, you know, I'm not, you know, it's not a big mistake or anything by any means. But yeah, no, it's been good, and I think you know you kind of get to wrap a little bit of a bow on it there, because like everyone in their family, as tough it as it is, you want to mourn, but you got to move on too a little bit. And I think this does a good job of kind of doing both, right? You get to mourn, and then you start to you slowly start to move on. And his wife has just been unbelievable, truly. I can't even imagine. And his family and his dad getting to skate with Philly before, and then the last couple of days with the Blue Jackets during practice, and then the morning skate. So, you know, bless those people for their future, because you know it's just tough. You just got to try to keep moving on. I think everyone's lost family, and you know everyone deals with it in different ways. And I'm really happy the Blue Jackets did what they did, and I'm happy the Florida Panthers were there.
Yeah,
Paul Maurice is an awesome dude. When they brought the idea of having the face off in the 13 seconds, you know,
was cool.
he was 1,000% on board and talked about it. And he's just an awesome guy. And guys, hockey people generally just get it when things need to be done. And yeah, I hope we can kind of, you know, take it all in, remember it, and start moving on the process, just like everyone else has to. With the season, she even said, "I want you fans to enjoy that game, enjoy your team, and all that."
Yeah.
So she's just been really good at helping with that too.
There's no question about it. The whole family's just been it's been uplifting to see them and how they've dealt,
making the tiniest good thing out of such a horrible situation,
with the ultimate tragedy you can have as a family. And so, I had to talk about that a little bit. And yeah, it was. And then seeing Sean Monahan, you just knew he was going to score in that game. I felt that. I'm like, this guy,
cool.
He's going to get a goal, and to see him stand there, just with with Johnny's infant child there, pretty awesome stuff. So that puts a bow on that. Let's now shift to a little college puck, and we begin this time around, Cappy, with your school, Ohio State. They're opening Big Ten play at number 16, Wisconsin. Boy, Billy McCullough, Lindenwood, they went in there and got hasty last week in game one. So a little bit of a wake-up call for the Badgers. How do you see this one shaping up this series?
Yeah, I mean, you think it's a wake-up call, but I think you guys got to give a little more credit to Lindenwood to come in there. And, you know, Wisconsin not only, you know, loses the first game, but had to come back from down 2 goals to win the second game in overtime. So, I think Wisconsin, you know, they're figuring it out. That roster, again, tons of turnover. We'll see how they are come February, March. I wouldn't count them out. But Bill McCullough, you said, great job. Great start at Linwood. I don't think anyone should take them for granted. Yeah, early conference hockey, which is fine. You know, I think there's something to do maybe with that because it's Wisconsin and Ohio State, and they've done this before.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 buildings that have issues with basketball and hockey scheduling. So I think every year almost they try to find a series in October before basketball starts to squeeze one of those in to help with that. I'm not for sure on that. Nobody's ever told me that, but it's just they've done it a couple times, and it's been with Ohio State, Wisconsin. So you got to wonder about that, but I don't mind that. Hey, you got to play the 34 games that are in front of you. They've both played some games now. They've had exhibition games, and then they've had a couple. So they're both on the same footing. It's going to be interesting. But the Buckeyes tied at home and then won against AIC 5-2. So they had a better second game. Eberle won game 2.
Good Michigan guy.
Tied the first game. So goaltending will be interesting at both schools. You've got 2. I mean, Grame played a couple games last year, but did not get a ton. Scarfoni struggled a little bit in his first game with Wisconsin. I wouldn't write him off, though. Probably some nerves. I don't care if you're a fifth-year guy or a first-year guy. You come to a new school, a lot of expectations. I think you take a breath now and he'll be okay. So, but who's going to play in net for both teams? And, there's just, they both play around the same team, a defensive-minded first teams. So it could be some tight, low-scoring games. I just think it's going to be a split for the fact that, both rosters are not far off from each other. And the goaltending, there's no true goal, guy that's going to steal you a game, I don't believe. So I see a split there. And, I think both teams would be, pretty okay with that, to be honest, after, the second weekend of the season.
Well said. I agree with you in terms of the split. I think you're looking at, close, low-scoring games, 2-1, maybe 3-2, 3-1 empty netter. I think that's probably what you're looking at realistically. BU's got UConn. They'll play in Hockey East this weekend. Boston College with the always, and I mean respectfully, the pesky AIC Yellow Jackets. They'll go at it. Arizona State's a Providence. How about Arizona State last week, Cappy, and Michigan out there? I mean, they're a minute away from sweeping that series, and the Sun Devils came roaring back and stuck a fork in them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that till after I looked at looked at it. Didn't know that was the case. I mean, Michigan was a minute away from going on the road to sweeping a team that was ranked.
Yeah.
Were they supposed to be ranked? Who knows? We're going to get to that a little bit. But I thought it was a good weekend for Michigan State. I don't know for Michigan. I don't know what Arizona State is yet. They got some nice pieces.
They do.
I don't know where their goaltending is completely. And now is there's going to be a little bit of, is Powers the right fit there for a team now in the best conference in the country still?
Yeah, that's right.
You got to say that now until the Big Ten wins one.
Yeah.
They're the best conference in the top. So is there going to be pressure on him now? Because he's starting to get some players. I mean, Colin Potter was stolen. He was a top 5 prospect for next year. Obviously, he's young. Yeah. So maybe he's not ready to be elite yet as a 17-year-old. But he's starting to get players. So there's going to be pressure on him now to produce. I think everything was really happy-go-lucky. They got the arena, right? And then they finally get the conference. But now you're at the point where, okay, it's time to do it. Now, right, he wanted this, but now you got to win. It's different from, hey, we're going to just throw out and try to win some games. You're independent. Got this beautiful arena. We're going to fill it up. Now you're bringing in Michigan non-conference. I love that.
Yeah.
Your schedule is going to be brutal.
Yeah.
You got North Dakota coming in. It's just going to be you got every weekend, every home game is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Once the conference season's going, you're like, there's no time off here. So that's an interesting one. And it'll tell a lot about Coach Powers, where he can be in that pecking order of college now that he's going to face the gauntlet ahead.
Speaking of Michigan, they'll be home to take on Brett Larson and the St. Cloud State Huskies. Good series there. St. Cloud, they like to play a wide open game. They got a lot of speed.
I think Michigan does too.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was heading. Yeah,
it'll be a track meet. Yeah,
they're not a team that they'll hit you, but they're built on their speed and their skill. And in a classic old school CCHA rivalry renewed, Cappy, Alaska at Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. Good weekend last weekend. How about Quinnipiac and Maine? That's another good one up at Alphon. They'll get going in conference play there. And Denver, they'll be home, #1 team. And then we can't forget one of the battles of Minnesota, the Gophers heading up to Duluth to open a series with Scott Sandelin's Bulldogs. That should be good hockey to watch, and 2 really good teams, well-coached teams.
Yeah, a lot of good hockey around. I love these early season non-conference and then some conference. That Maine Quinnipiac should be awesome.
Juicy.
Because Maine's going to want to run and gun them, and the Alphon, easily one of my favorite rinks I ever got to play in college. Not even close. Like as road games that I played at Alphon was right up there as one of the top 2 or 3. Unbelievable atmosphere. Student sections right on top of the goalie behind you.
What was number 1?
Number 1, we're gonna go off. I mean, it's close. Honestly, it's close between there and Cornell as like my favorite visiting venues.
Lineup.
Yeah, Cornell was awesome because their students were involved. They had chants. They would get on you in a fun way. Now they weren't throwing things at you or being rude. They just were a fun crowd. And then if it's another small arena, 4,000 people right on top of you.
Deep.
It just was a fun place to play, and to win there too was pretty fun. To kind of just stick it in their noses. But I love these early season games. The St. Cloud one with Michigan. They played at St. Cloud last year, so it's to repay
back end
that
of the deal.
Yeah, I mean Michigan. After that first game, they've been really good. The last, like you said, they're a minute away from 3 straight with Minnesota State and then taking 2 on the road.
Yeah.
So clearly they've figured it out after a rough first game. Goaltending obviously has been much better.
Right.
That first game was a little rocky, but I mean, it's first games of the year.
Yep.
And it wasn't, and there were no preseason, there were no exhibitions for those. That was the first weekend. So it should be interesting with St. Cloud. They're off to a 3-0 start to go in there. You might see a split, but you just never know with that Yost crowd. Sometimes they can get on a heater and bring the Wolverines to a sweep.
Yes, they can. Lindenwood, we mentioned Billy McCult earlier. They're taking on Air Force out in Colorado Springs. Omaha, fresh off beating Minnesota. We didn't even talk about that. Minnesota, 50-plus shots. Omaha's goaltender, defense corps, they were outstanding in the end and got the win out there. North Dakota, they're at Minnesota State, a couple of ranked teams there.
It's a juicy one.
What's that?
That's a juicy one.
It is, yeah. A couple of ranked teams, good rivalry there. And, WCHA, renewed rivalry there. I love it.
Good. Hey, I just think there's just a lot of good teams.
Yep.
I don't want to call it parity. I just think there's so many good hockey players out there now. And it's going to get even bigger, obviously. We talked about it with Schloss at the CHL and all that, but I just think there's so many good players out there, and quite frankly, it's very soon there's just not be enough schools. So you're going to see these types of games where you think it's upsets, and it is like is North Dakota gonna in 10 games against Augustana, the next 10 they lost once, right, an exhibition.
Right.
The next 10 they probably win all those, maybe 9 of the 10. But
let's say 8.
Yeah, but the gap is closing. There's still going to be some elite teams, obviously, but the parity in it, in a good way, is there's just so many good college hockey players, and it's going to grow. So hopefully, Big Ten and all places around start growing, get some more teams going.
Yeah.
But it's I love. It's October. I'm sitting in the sun, but I'm watching hockey. It doesn't get better than this. So. Very, very fortunate that we got college hockey going, because it's like we're going to probably say the same thing next week when we see that schedule.
We need to have a couple of D1 teams in the state of Florida is what we need.
I mean,
Arizona.
Get the SEC going. I mean
that's what I'm talking about.
Some of the crowds for the club hockey teams and Georgia,
Same.
NC State had an outdoor game. 20,000 people went to the game.
Yeah,
out at where the Carolina Hurricanes played an outdoor game.
No,
20,000 to watch a club hockey game. So clearly,
let's go.
I just think money talks. So
we'll
see about that in the future.
It is my job to turn the ship now to our gripe of the week. And
I've been waiting for this
week,
one.
Mr. Cappy and I has the honors from warm and sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Yeah, I'm going to bring a little chill to it.
Oh boy, here we go.
It's not even it's a gripe. It is, and nothing's ever going to change with it. I do it because I'm a voter, but my gripe is I do not think there should be any balloting done until November. At least a month of hockey should go before you do any voting on teams.
I thought you were talking about the election.
Oh, God. Well, I guess, yes. I mean, right around then, right? Our first Monday of November, the next day they can have their ballot. Yeah, college hockey.
We're on the same page.
It's just nobody knows how good – you can look at rosters. Not enough people have enough information about all these players. I don't have enough, and I follow the sport more than a lot of people.
Yeah,
you can't tell me who's number 1, who's number 7, who's 16. You know who can maybe just on rosters who knows it the most is Schloss. Because that guy is a freaking human encyclopedia, knows so much.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
But maybe just leave it to him. Let him do it because
he's the guru, man.
He puts in the work.
Yeah.
I don't put enough.
I don't either.
It's impossible to put in enough work preseason to know the 1 through 20.
Right.
And all that. And then you get all these teams, and then you see teams lose games and they dropped. Look, Omaha, great example.
Yeah.
Great overtime win, which is it a win? Yeah, it's a 3-on-3 thing, so it counts. But did half the voters look to see the context of that game where Minnesota outshoots them 54-17? And you're going to drop Minnesota for losing an overtime game, 4 spot, whatever they dropped. They dropped from 4 to 6, whatever it was.
Yep, they're 6.
Okay, right. So, North Dakota wins their game, which is great. They won a home game, but the week before they lost to Augustana. But it was an exhibition. So nobody counts that, and nobody knows the context. Did North Dakota outshoot them 60-12, and, they had a couple lucky goals. There's no way for all of us to know all this stuff. Yet we're voting like, oh, we just look at the scores. Oh, boom, they lost. Shoot them down. Leave it alone till November. Everyone's got about 8 to 10 games, and then then you let things decide. People have watched some. You've read enough. You can watch almost any game now on anywhere. It costs you money, but I just think that's my gripe. No voting. I get it. We all do it. Football does it. It's something to talk about for the media.
Yeah.
And teams maybe should ignore it. And it doesn't mean a lot because the pair rise is all that matters. I just think it's just the way people vote now that I see it because I'm in the voting. It's everyone has their biases. East Coast people see all those teams more, so they're going to vote them higher. West Coast teams going to vote higher. Big Ten guys, I see them a lot more because we have access to all their games more.
Yeah.
So we're going to think they're better. I just stuck up for Minnesota, right? But I also made a claim for North Dakota. So that would be my gripe. Bounce the voting. It's never going to happen, but that's why we get this gripe because it's our way to vent a little bit, even though it never happens.
Love it. We need to get a sponsor for this. I'm going to noodle with this. We really need a sponsor for this.
Noodle.
What about Dude Wipes?
Dude Wipes? You have an in there? Wipes.
They clean up the gripe of the week.
Okay. If you know someone there, lock it in.
I mean, they do stuff with Major League Rugby, so you got me thinking.
I thought you were doing a Kramer thing there. I'm going to go home and noodle with this.
I was. And we will get to that in a moment. Time for our 3 stars. I'm not sure.
Let's do it.
Who goes first this week? I think it's me.
I think it's your turn.
This is a bit of this will show the stat nerd geek in me. Believe it or not, I have that.
I love it.
I love stats. Number 3 for me, Jake Allen, the first goaltender in NHL history to have beaten 33 different NHL teams. It's obscure. It's a bit nerdy, but I thought that was a pretty cool stat.
I did see that. That's great. I mean, that guy's had a great career. He's become maybe the top 3 or 4 backup goalies in the league.
Yeah.
Which you can make a great living doing that for a long, long time. And his value is there because for a while he was a number 1.
I saw him a lot.
That's a great stat.
Sorry, yeah, I saw him a lot in when he was in Peoria. My year
St. Louis
American League.
AHL,
we played them a lot. That's when Ryan Reeves was playing with them still, the Peoria Women.
Love it.
And my buddy Brendan Burke was their radio guy.
Sure.
He's done all right for himself. Congrats.
Yeah, he's doing okay. No big deal.
But our guy Bordelot used to go at it with Reeves, man. Just insane. Anyways, I'm going down memory lane. You're up with number 3.
I'm going to give this guy a lot of love, even though I just kind of I didn't throw his team under the bus, but I talked about how teams get it's a loss for Minnesota, win for Omaha. Hey, they won the game, but I think you can put about 94% of that win on the netminder. Simon Licozzi had him last year in the regionals. Omaha and Minnesota. Great game, 3-2, tight game. Couple lost, a blown tire was the difference in the game for an Omaha defenseman. 53 saves and an overtime win to beat Minnesota. That's my 3rd star, Simon Licozzi, Omaha goaltender.
Very nice. And at number 2, we go to the USHL in a place and a team.
We're never going to come close on 3 stars.
That my partner on this podcast knows very well. In fact, go back in the rotation of Nothing But Hockey podcasts. I want to say it was episode 2 or 3 with Mike Hastings. There's another. Omaha Lancers forward and a familiar last name to those in the hockey circle, Nicholas Sikora of your Omaha Lancers had a 4-goal game against Chicago on Sunday. That's my number 2 star.
Beautiful. Hey, Lancers.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
They're struggling too. They already changed their coach, which oh man.
I saw that.
The ownership there, man, it's just completely a mess.
Sorry,
so sad from where it's been, but no, that's great. 4 goals.
Back in the glory days.
Beauty, yeah, the Jed Ortmeyer days.
So, what's your number 2 star?
My number 2 star is, I'm gonna. This is like I said, I'm gonna put a book on a cap on this one. I'm going with the Blue Jackets.
Nice.
The organization, the way they handled it, just that whole game that night. The Florida Panthers guys. Matthew Tkachuk leaving wasn't there because I think he had COVID. They didn't say it.
Yeah.
But he's at illness. But he left the grape Gatorade and the Skittles purple Gatorade and Skittles. Because that was in every guy's stall. Because that was Johnny's favorite kind of snacks. I mean, you gotta love Johnny, right? That's this guy Skittles and Gatorade. And then he goes out and gets 2 and 1, right? Unbelievable. But I love those little soft stories. That's what makes hockey so great. So one more last love for the Gaudreaus, the little things, the little things they did to show how much they cared and miss them. So that's my number 2.
Nicely done.
Let's see what we do here on number 1.
So we're different. I think this one, we're going to be on the same page.
Ooh.
You have the poker sunglasses on, so I won't be able to see your eyes to see how you react. But mine's from there. There we go from NHL Wednesday night, Penguins. Sidney Crosby gets his 1,600th career point, 10th guy in NHL history to do that on a Brian Russ goal. And then Evgeny Malkin, scores on an assist from Crosby, 500th career goal. That's my number 1 stars of the week.
Yeah, you got me there. That's it. I mean, that's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they did it in the same game, it's just so fitting. So I was going to go more Malkin, and here's why. 1, he got his 500th goal. 2, he got his 1,300th point earlier in the season. He's at 1,307 now.
Yeah.
And 3, he is leading scorer in the NHL with 11 points by 3. He has 11 points in 5 games.
Yeah.
So Crosby, 1,600 points. I think the guy's going to go for 2,000. That's just what I think. If he stays healthy,
I think it's within reach.
He's going to keep playing.
5 years.
Like health is the only reason that it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But Malkin to do all 3 of those things, have all those things going on. Just I single him more. So now my number 1 star is Gino.
I love it. I think there's still a chance that Crosby and McKinnon play together at some point.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance.
Okay. I mean,
I'm with you. I think he can play till 45.
If Colorado continues to slide, at some point they might be looking to shuffle the deck.
Wow, that's
McKinnon's older. McKinnon's
Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Kyle Dubas would have to work some magic on that one, but that's where it would have to happen. Crosby's not going to Colorado, most likely.
Exactly.
So it would have to be the other way around.
Yes. My thought exactly too.
Interesting stuff. But you had an idea for something fun for us to do as me and you are, maybe podcasters don't know this, they're watching. We love Seinfeld. It's if you're over 40, like both of us, it's just, and I think the younger crowd is starting to watch it. It's been on Netflix now, and it's fun to see what their perspective is on it. because I think they like it. They just look at it differently than us. But man, we always bring it up all the time, and you have a new idea for the end of our show.
Yeah, just whenever it fits, we thought we'd add a little Seinfeld flavor to it and have a little fun with it. So among the many social media follows I have, one of them I'm looking at now, Seinfeld episodes. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I spend more time on Facebook in my super terrific Seinfeld quotes group than I do on actual Facebook. That's all I'm in there. And I waste way too much time. So today they had a post of like what I would consider like villains, their Halloween costumes.
Right.
Like there's
the Newman.
The cleaner.
The cleaner. Yeah.
And then you also have Carl Farman, one of my favorite of all time.
So you know who, and now you were talking about the costumes, right? With the Halloween.
Yes.
And the scariest, maybe my guy.
What do you got?
And this comes from one of the scariest, thriller movies of all time that they always love to do those little, mockings of is Uncle Leo when he's doing the Cape Fear, when he steals the book, right? And he's doing the push-ups and he's doing the dinero.
Yeah.
That one. And then he with the fake eyebrows.
Derry, hello.
Yes. That's my favorite for the scary costume, if you want to put it on. There he is. That's him with the eyebrows. I feel like they gave him the long hair and the tattoos when he was doing that, the Cape Fear. That's my favorite scary guy.
Len Lesser. That's his dad. He passed away, I think, last year.
They all passed away last year.
Yeah, I know. A lot of them passed
away. Both moms, but they lived long, great lives in their late 90s, right?
Clompus,
Jack.
All right, so I'm gonna give you mine. I love that one. I'm gonna go with this guy.
What do you got?
I'm going off the board. I'm going Brody.
Yeah. I mean, he did bring a gun to the movie theater.
Just shoot the tape so I can get it out on the street.
Yeah, we would have. Hey, I would have ate some of the candy if you didn't stick your disgusting fingers in there the whole time after you licked them. He was legit dangerous. Uncle Leo just looked it. That guy was legit scary. Scary.
I'd probably go with. I'd go if it wasn't him. I'd go with Slippery Pete. That'd be my next choice.
Slippery Pete. The Slippery Pete. Yeah, the holes, right? Frogger.
Yeah. I need holes. All right.
Good stuff, man.
That was fun. All right, we good?
Good, man. Good stuff. I'm down to 10% on my iPad. So
that's a good show, then, man. It's good to talk with you, and love doing this with you, bud.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna swim a few laps.
Oh, get in there! Nice.
It's freezing. The heater. I don't know why it's not working. It's down to 77 degrees. The pool. That is not warm.
80, low 80s.
It's about 78, 80 maybe. Oh no, it's beautiful out. Yeah. So no doubt. But
enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy your birthday dinner. Right, you're still doing it.
Yeah, my mom.
Where are you going?
We're taking her to Cheesecake Factory, where the biggest and most important thing is knowing what kind of cheesecake you're going to get. Right.
Although the menu is insane. It's like
it is
18 pages. I used to always get the teriyaki chicken and white rice. That's always really good.
Yeah.
I know. It's a big everything's a big portion too. So you get leftovers.
I'll bring you a piece of cheesecake.
Oh, so many to pick from. That's the problem.
I got up to 12 when I lived in DC. The first floor of my building was a cheesecake factory.
Nice.
So I got to know them pretty well. I used to get the tacos and
why not
the teriyaki you mentioned. And
nice.
I could make one of those cheesecake things last for about 3 days. I had to have discipline, but I could do it. I didn't eat it all at once. I did it
as long as you go on your walks and whatnot.
I did. I walked and rode my bike in the city.
There you go, man.
Love that
Beautiful.
place. So my mom's birthday. So happy birthday.
All right. Well, happy birthday to your mom.
All right, brother.
Enjoy it. Until
Cappy,
next time.
Benny
One more.
What do you got?
One more in Florida.
Oh, one more show. So we'll see this guy. I got to do an official, like, professional rap on the show, right?
You can do that. I mean, okay, you want to do that? Okay, go ahead.
For Tommy Bahama on the beach in Sarasota, Florida. Paul Cappy and I, Cappy, Ben Holden saying thanks for watching episode number 6 of Nothing But Hockey. We'll see you next time with Cappy still in Florida. See ya.